We grew up in the UK watching Neighbours and Home and Away, believing in the idea of instant neighbourly bliss in Australia. But did we actually find it when we moved here? And what is the etiquette when you move in? Do you introduce yourself or wait for that knock on the door? We explore Aussie versus UK customs and ask the big question. We'll also share the results of our poll on who should make the first move. And our beautiful friend Misaki in Japan will tell us their customs and why we think the rest of the world could learn from it. We'll also tell you how one completely changed our life in Australia and take you on a journey through fascinating ancient roots, traditions and old legal requirements of what it once meant to be a neighbour. Growing up in the UK, we remember there was a strong sense of neighbourly community. Traditionally, when someone moved into the neighbourhood, people would pop round to welcome them with a welcome card, sometimes even homemade cakes. Street parties were a thing too, especially during big national moments like jubilees, royal weddings, or just a sunny bank holiday. Everyone would bring out fold-up chairs and mismatched tablecloths. You'd meet people you hadn't seen in months. It was chaotic and brilliant. Even if you didn't speak to your neighbours every day, there was a shared sense of place. You felt like you belonged to something. So what has been our experience in Australia? When we first arrived and found jobs in Sydney, we rented an apartment and arranged to collect the keys at the property. We arrived at the apartment with all our bags, only to find a locked door. We called the rental agent, who asked us to pop into the office as she couldn't leave the premises. We didn't relish the thought of hauling all our bags down the stairs we'd just come up and trekking through the heat, so we had to think on our feet. Then, impulsively, I knocked on the door next to ours as we could hear laughter coming from their apartment. It opened and a young couple, Taryn and Miles, smiled, and after we explained our dilemma, they said, "No worries, leave your things with us." That spontaneous decision led to our first Aussie pub night, followed by many late-night laughs. They didn't just do us a favour, they opened up a whole new life for us and became lifelong and cherished friends. They showed us around Sydney, introduced us to their friends who became ours, and before long we had a gang, a family. They accelerated our integration into the Australian way of life. We did fun runs, had weekends away, road trips, camped under the stars and danced at concerts. We shared Christmas lunches and New Year's celebrations, and we were so proud to be at their wedding. I'll never forget visiting Taryn in hospital after she had her first baby. It felt like a full circle, from strangers to family. Years later, Taryn told us that they never met anyone else in the unit block, as no one else had knocked on their door, and neither had they. It made us think, what if we hadn't made the first move? Our entire life in Australia could have been very different.
They won't knock with cookies or shout from the gate.
That experience stands out because, honestly, we haven't had anything else like it since. At one point, we rented in another Sydney apartment tower. Doors leading off a corridor, a lift, dozens of people on the same floor, and yet we barely spoke to anyone. Maybe a nod in the lift, a quick good morning in the lobby. People seemed to avoid any social contact with other people. That was it. But Aussies are some of the kindest people we've ever met, and they rarely make the first move. There's a beautiful modesty here. People are unassuming. By nature, they mind their own business and they don't want to intrude. But that also means no one knocks or no one pops over. They will smile if you say hi, but it's often up to you. Of course, you also need to respect their privacy too. There are real reasons for the difference. Australian houses are huge, some of the biggest in the world. The average Aussie home is about 30 to 40% larger than the average UK home. Then there are the backyards, fences you can't see over. We are surprised by how high the fences are. They're privacy fortresses. Garage doors that open remotely and large front lawns. You can go days without seeing your neighbours. In the UK, front doors can be close to each other, so you can always wave as you come and go, and we talk over the back garden fence. Changing times are also a factor. Busier lifestyles, so you may live next door to someone for years and never learn their name. If you don't bump into people, conversations will never start. And then there's the question of who actually lives next door. In Australia, nearly 50% of 18 to 29-year-olds still live at home. That means fewer new faces moving in and out. We've noticed that in the state capital cities, many students will choose a university close to their home so they don't have to move out, unlike in the UK where it is expected they will move to another part of the country. In contrast, as homes are much smaller in the UK, most young adults move out of their parents' homes much earlier, often in their late teens or early 20s, which brings a natural churn to neighbourhoods, with new people moving in more frequently. So, many Australian families have strong social networks under one roof. And with unaffordable housing prices the way they are, people aren't relocating every few years. There is a rise in granny flats for gardens big enough to have one. They are little dwellings the size of a large garden shed, perfectly the size for elderly parents or grown-up children. And it's not just us. A Finder study found that only 45% of Australians know their neighbours' names. In the UK, it's closer to 70%. In apartment buildings, it's even lower. But here's the thing. Every time we've made the first move, it's been worth it. Every time we've knocked, smiled or said hello, the warmth has been there. The house next door to us recently sold, so without hesitation, we knew we'd be knocking on their door. Well, I'm just putting together a welcome pack for our new neighbours. We had a quick chat with them yesterday, so we thought, well, welcome to our neighbourhood, because we think that's the right thing to do, is just to say hello and make people feel welcome. We have a can of Prosecco to go cheers, ting ting, champagne, and a can of beer, some chocolates to share, and a card. And we have a lemon tree at the back, so we've basically said to them, if there's any branches over your side of the fence, help yourself to all the lemons and limes that are on there. So they seem lovely people. So this is our way of saying howdy.
They lent their plough, they watched the fire.
So have you ever wondered where the word neighbour actually comes from? It's not just about the people next door. It once meant so much more. It comes from Old English, nia being near, and gibor meaning dweller or farmer. So a neighbour was literally a near dweller, someone who lived close and shared your world. In early English villages, neighbours weren't casual acquaintances. You were part of a tightly woven community with responsibilities to one another. There were tithing groups, clusters of households responsible for each other's behaviour, and if one person broke the law, the others were accountable too. Neighbours raised barns, harvested crops, fixed fences, not for favours, but out of duty. You shared food, you shared tools, sometimes even fire. If someone got sick, neighbours stepped in. Love thy neighbour wasn't just spiritual, it was legal. To be a neighbour meant to be reliable, watchful, accountable. It was a vital role in society, but that was way back then. Now Aussies might seem more private, and compared to the UK, it's true. They're less likely to knock on your door when you move in. But in many ways, that makes them ideal neighbours. They're friendly, but not pushy. They'll help when it matters, but they won't crowd you. And when it comes to neighbourly disputes, Australia performs surprisingly well. A 2021 Finder study found that only 1 in 10 Australians reported a neighbour issue, compared to around 2 in 3 people in the UK, according to a Channel 5 study. Why? Lower population density, more space, less friction. One writer put it perfectly. Maybe Australia's neighbourly spirit is simply, they won't show up uninvited, but they'll be there when it matters. This seems to be borne out by the results of our poll too, which shows that the general opinion is that newcomers should introduce themselves first. So we thought we would ask our lovely friend Misaki in Japan what people usually do there when they move in. She told us there is a lovely tradition.
日本では引っ越した時に隣人に挨拶をし、粗品を渡すという伝統的な習慣があります。
What Misaki said was, newcomers greet their neighbours, usually within a day or two, and bring a small gift called a Soshina. It's not about the value, just the gesture, a way of saying, I respect you and I'm glad to be part of this space. It beautifully reflects Japanese Zen principles, harmony, mindfulness and humility. It's not about becoming close friends, but about being thoughtful and respectful neighbours. It is a long practiced custom, and it takes the pressure off wondering who should approach who. In Japan, everyone knows it's a newcomer's role to reach out, which clears the air and helps set a warm, respectful tone from the start. Maybe that's something both the UK and Australia could learn from. A small gesture, a simple hello, and a stronger sense of community. We really love making these videos for you, and we hope you enjoy watching them too. Thank you for watching Luce and Bonnie's Australia.